It is always a delight to me to come on this forum and, you know, share my thoughts and my understanding. And both of you, as well as your students, have been very gracious to give me this opportunity to be here. We will begin with a prayer of invocation, which we call as Mangalacharan. Om Om Yo Brahmanam Vidadhati Purvam Yo Vai Vedanscha Prahinoti Tasmai Tamhadevamatma Buddhi Prakasham Mumukshurvai Sharanamaham Prapadye. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahmavidya Sampradaya Kartribhyo Vamshrishibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhya Sarvopaplavarhita Prajnanaghana Pratyagartho Brahmaivahamasmi Brahmaivahamasmi Om Vedantartha Vibhasakaya Gurave Shantaya Sannyasine Nanavadi Nagendra Sanghapavaye Yogindra Vandyaya Cha Mohatvanta Divakaraya Bhagavat Padabhidham Bibrate Tasmai Bhashakrite Namostu Satatam Purnaya Bodhatmane. This particular topic, Introduction to Anandagiri Acharya, who happens to be the major commentator on Bhagavan Shankaracharya's all the works, whether this is Bhashya or independent Prakarana Granthas. In fact, scholars always have relied on Anandagiri Acharya to identify which of the works, Vedantic works, are actually authored by Shankaracharya. And the standard that they have used, the scholars, is just this: those works on which Anandagiri Acharya's commentary is available is undoubtedly authentic work of Shankaracharya. There may be other works which may not have commentaries, but to be sure about what belongs to Shankaracharya, people have relied upon Anandagiri Acharya. Thus, now for scholars and also for the seekers, Anandagiri Acharya becomes a very reliable source. So then, in this particular lineage, tradition, we can understand that the importance of Anandagiri in order to understand Shankaracharya and his work becomes extremely important. History about Anandagiri Acharya as remains blur, as most of the teachers in the tradition, the dates, their place, always, in most of the cases, except for few, is always, surrounded with contradictions and controversies about the date, etc. Even Shankaracharya is also not spared. Sringeri has one particular opinion about date of Shankaracharya, as well as the other mathas have a different system by which they say that Shankaracharya was more than 1250 years, going back as much as 2500 years. Dwarka and Puri Math also present their historic records like that. But nevertheless, we definitely know that Anandagiri is one of the uh, greatest spiritual luminaries of the tradition. Now, a friend of mine who's also a sannyasi here, a great scholar, to quote him, he once said, in order to understand Shankaracharya, Anandagiri Acharya becomes instrumental. And he said, भाष्यकार ने शंकराचार्य भाष्यकार का हृदय खोल के रखते हैं, which means Anandagiri, the commentaries of Anandagiri are such that they are able to reveal what exactly Bhagavan Shankaracharya means over here in various places throughout all his bhashya. So whether it is the Upanishad bhashya, Gita bhashya, or Brahma Sutra bhashya, and I'm now more relying on the bhashya section of Shankaracharya. So also there is one Shankara Digvijay which is available, and the claimant of it is Anandagiri. It is claimed to be authored by Anandagiri. He is also known by various names as Anantananda Acharya or Jnanananda, Ananda Jnana, so on and so forth. But now, to verify whether it is the same person or these are all different people with different names is something that is mostly left to scholars of the history. Nevertheless, it is unchallenged that Anandagiri is a very authentic source when it comes to the understanding of Shankara Bhashyam. Now I'm going to present you as a little trailer of Anandagiri as how he becomes a very as he becomes almost inevitable when it comes to understanding Shankaracharya. And I know that most of the people who are here on this particular forum are very keen on listening to spiritual discourses, but something of this nature may not be appealing to all. Yet, nevertheless, I'm going to make this attempt, and so this is what we call a maiden attempt that I'm making to introduce Anandagiri Acharya. There is yet one more thing that is said is about him. My name is Abhishek Chaitanya Giri, so I also belong to the Giri Parampara of the Sannyasis. And we trace our tradition to the Jyotirmath. But incidentally, Dwaraka Math and also Kanchi Math claims that Acharya Anandagiri belong to their tradition. Now, there must be some source through which such claims are made, but you can understand that there is no way to really verify as what is who actually, where, to which tradition he belongs. But going by the name, then we can say he may even belong to Jyotirmat tradition. Giri, just by that virtue of his name. Putting all those things on one side, the real introduction of the person is not through the history, but by the virtue of his knowledge. So here I'm bringing to you just a sample from the Bhagavad Gita without entering into a lot of Shastrartha, because there are various places where there is going to be Purva Paksha, Uttar Paksha, and so on and so forth, how Vaisheshikas are refuted by Bhashyakara in just one sentence. So now, in order to bring about the entire philosophy of Vaisheshikas or of the Shunyavadins, and then how this particular Vakyam, this particular sentence of Shankaracharya refutes it all, is then presented by Anandagiri Acharya. So I'm not going to lead you into those sections because they become very tedious. Except for people who really revel in it, for them it becomes very interesting. But for a beginner, it may be very tedious. So here we are. The way that I have chosen to bring it to you is I will bring out a line from Shankar Bhashya Gita, which is just the Upodghata Bhashyan, which means the introductory Bhashya to Bhagavad Gita with the Mangalacharya, just one or two lines from it, and how Anandagiri explains it. And that's why, we may also rely on translations, but do they do the justice to Shankaracharya's work just by, getting the word meaning? Because there is a lot that Bhashyakara says or means over there, which simple translation cannot do the justice to. So here it is. Shankaracharya Bhagavan's commentary on Bhagavad Gita begins with a prayer of Mangalacharanam. Here it is. Om Narayana Paro Vyaktad Andam Avyakta Sambhavam Andasyantastvime Lokaha Saptadvipa Chamedini. Now look at this. This is just one line. And how then when you are really, I'll give you the translation, and then when you see how Anandagiri Acharya explains it, then the curiosity and the interest really you will see how it goes. Narayana Paro Vyaktad. Narayana is beyond the unmanifest. Then Andam Avyakta Sambhavam. The Anda Brahmanda is born from the unmanifest. Andasyantastvime Lokaha. All these 14 worlds, including this Medini, the Prithvi, which is Saptadvipa Medini, also comes under this, the Brahmanda. Andasyantes tu ime lokaha saptadvipa cha medini. Now this is the shloka. Now here we go to Anandagiri, seek his blessings to make us understand what is it. Look at that. Karmanishtha, Jnananishtha, iti upaya upeya bhutam nishtadvayam athikritya pravrittam Gita Shastram Vyachikhyasuhu Bhagavan Bhashyakaraha. He says, how does this Gita Shastra begin? So the Gita Shastra gives you Jnana Nishtha and Karma Nishtha, Jnana Yoga and Karma Yoga too. And what is the relationship between Jnana Yoga and Karma Yoga? Upaya Upeya Bhutam. That the Karma Nishtha is the sadhanam and Jnana Nishtha is the sadhyam. Okay? They are not independent. Karma Nishtha or Karma Yoga is the sadhanam by which Jnana Yoga is accomplished. So that's why, what is the relationship between them? Upaya and Upeya. But they are Nishtha-dvayam. Adhikritya pravrittam Gita Shastram. So this is how the Gita Shastra begins. Vyachikyasuhu Bhagavan. And this Gita Shastra is that which Bhagavan Bhashyakara wants to discourse upon. Vyachikyasuhu Bhagavan Bhashyakara. What does he do in order to explain or give a commentary on this Gita? Vignopaplava Shamanadi Prayojana Prasiddhaye Pramanika Vyavahara Pramana Pramanakam Ishtadeva Tattvan Smaranam Mangalacharanam Sampadayan Anavasheshena Itihasa Puranayoho Vyachikhyasita Gita Shastrena Ekavakyatam Abhipretya Pauranika Shlokam Ekameva Antaryami Vishayam Udaharati. Now, in order to explain or in order to give a commentary, reveal this Gita Shastram, Bhagavan Bhashyakara also follows the tradition. He is not a path breaker or anything. He follows the tradition. And why is that tradition followed, and what kind of tradition it is? It is the tradition of accomplishing Mangalacharanam, a prayer. So, but why should it be done for? There are two reasons. The first reason is in order to remove the obstacles. And the second reason is so that the study becomes fruitful. Okay? The purpose of doing these studies is also accomplished. So there are these two reasons, two prayojanas over there. In order for these two prayojanas to be accomplished, now he follows the vyavahara, which is given through the pramanika vyavahara by our teachers of on whom we can rely upon very what do they call? Faithfully, on whom we can have our विश्वास कर सकते हैं. इसको कैसे कहेंगे? On. हाँ, वासु, how to frame this? विश्वास कर सकते हैं.
To have trust.
Trust, Swamiji.
Trust and faith.
Faith and trust.
Yes, on whom we can have trust and faith. Mangala Charanam Sampadayan. This is how, and so how he begins that Mangala Charanam. Anavasheshena Itihasa Puranayoho Vyachikhyasita. The entire range of Shastra, whether it is the Veda, Itihasa, Smriti, or Puranas. Now, this entire, all range of Shastra, entire Shastra and Bhagavad Gita have equivocally they proclaim something. Ekavakyatam abhipretya, and that's why they have, because there are some people who choose only one particular Purana. And then they say that, the Krishna is greater than Shiva and Shiva, so on and so forth, and they just simply create controversies. But that is not what it is. All the Puranas have equal importance, all the Shastras, and that's why, in order to understand how they are delivering and one simple truth, how they are bringing, they are equivocal, how they are equivocal in revealing the truth is ekavakyatam abhipretya pauranika shlokam ekameva antaryami vishayam udaharati. Bhagavan Bhashyakar only brings out one shloka of Mangalacharanam when he is giving this Gita Bhashyam. Okay? So over there, he says Pauranika Shlokam, and for that he does not use any mantra or anything, but he gives a Pauranika Shloka from the Puranas. Why is he bringing Puranas? Because whether it is the Puranas on one side, Gita Shastra as the Smriti in the center, and the Vedas, they all of them have one single purpose, and that is what he wants to show. Antaryami Vishayam. How is this Mangalacharanam? It is about the Antaryami Vishayam Udaharati. Antaryami means the inner controller of all. And that shloka begins as Narayana. So now, even before Bhashyakara gives his Mangalacharanam, Anandagiri is able to tell you why that Mangalacharanam. Also, he is able to tell you why he chooses a Pauranika shloka to as a Mangal shloka of introduction, or a shloka of invocation for Gita Bhashyam. He could have had used some Vaidika mantra or another composition or another quotation from a Smriti, but he begins it as Pauranika is because he wants to show even the Puranas also are in resonance with the Upanishad, with the Vedas. And that's why he gives this. Now, simple translation would not have been able to tell you that what is the intent behind bringing this particular. Just the translation would be Narayana is beyond this world which is manifest and unmanifest. Now, this is the simple translation was not able to give you this. So therefore, Anandagiri, how he becomes important at every juncture is very very interesting. Narayana iti. So what is this Narayana? Apo Nara iti prokta, apo vai narasu navaha, ayanam tasya taha purvam tena Narayana smritaha. Iti smriti siddhaha sthuladrisham Narayana shabdarthaha. Now he gives you the meaning of the word Narayana. Why? Because Bhashyakara has used it in the Mangalam. Now he says, what is the meaning? So there are the meaning which is understood by people who are sthula buddhi. People who are sthula drishas, those who have a little gross understanding. Sthula drisham Narayana Shabda kya hai? Apo Nara iti prokta. The water is called as Nara. What is the other word for water in the Vedas? Nara. Apo vai narasunavaha. So also the water means the entire population of human beings. Narasunavaha. Ayanam tasya Tahpurvam. Now, this becomes the abode. What is the abode? All the Narasunavas, the entire human population is the abode. And of whose abode? The one whose abode it is called as Narayana. It is Smrita. So what is Narayana? The one who resides in all the beings is called as Narayana. Iti smriti siddha sthula drisham Narayana shabdartha. Sukshma darshinaha punarachakshate. Those who are with some subtle understanding, to them, what is the meaning of word Narayana? He says, Nara Shabdena Characharatmakam Sharira Jatam Uchyate. By the word Nara, what is meant as the entire all the beings, Chara and Achara, mobile as well as those who are not mobile, like the trees, etc., or even the mountains, etc., are also considered over here as jivas. Characharatmakam Sharira Jatam. That's why we have Ganga Saraswati as the Nadis, Devatas are there. Sharira Jatam Muchyate. Tatra Nitya Sannahita Nitya Sannihitascha Chidabhasa Jivaha Naraiti Uchyante. Now, the reflection of consciousness which is falling in all the beings is called as the Nara, which is actually the Jiva. So all the Jivas are called as Nara, Niruchyante, Tesham Ayanam. Now that which is the abode of all the Jivas, Tesham Ayanam. Ayanam means Ashrayaha, where all of them can take refuge, the shelter of all, Ashrayaha. Then Niyamako, the one who is the inner controller, Niyamako Antaryami Narayana. And this is called as Narayana. Yam adhikritya antaryami brahmanam Shri Narayanakyam mantramnayam cha adhiyate. Now the antaryami brahmana of the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad is dealing with this antaryami. What is this antaryami tattva? The inner controller of all. Just as to give you a little idea, it means that just as the clay is the inner self of the pot, which means whatever that pot is, the name, the shape, and the entire transaction that the pot can carry on is because the clay controls it. So because the clay is the Atma, so Antaryami is the inner controller of all, because of whom a human being is a human being, and a bee, an ant, a monkey is a bee, ant, and monkey because of this Antaryami. So this Narayana Khyam Mantramnayam Cha Adhiyate. This is what is remembered over here by the word Narayana. Tad anena shastra pratipadyam vishishtam tattvam ishtam bhavati. Thus, when it is said that Ishta Smaranam is done, and that Ishta is what? Is Shastra Pratipadya, is the very subject of this Vedas, of the Upanishad, and that is Ishtam, that is what is Ishta for Bhagavan Shankaracharya, and this is how he remembers it. Iti bhavati. Furthermore, Nanu parasya atmano maya sambandhat antaryamitvam shastra pratipadyam cha bhaktavyam. Now there is a little doubt. So that doubt is expressed to the mouth of a Purva Paksha. Parasya atmanaha, the Supreme Self, Maya sambandhat, it is only because of some sambandha with Maya can be called as antaryami and also can be called as Shastra Pratipadya, the very object of all the Shastras. Shastra Pratipadyam cha vaktavyam. Why are you saying like this? Anyatha, Kutastha, Asanga, Avishaya, Advitiyasya Tadayoga. Otherwise, because that tattva is, how is that? It is uh, immutable, Kutastha, Asanga, without any attachment or sanga. Avishaya, it cannot be objectified and is non-dual. It cannot be called as antaryami, or it cannot be even called as something that is propagated by the Shastra. It cannot be, because that which is, that pure consciousness cannot become the object of Vani, of the speech, Tadayoga. तथा च शुद्धता असिद्धौ कथम यथोक्त परदेवता शास्त्रादौ अनुस्मर्यते. Now when you are saying that is the paradevata, but in order for it to be paradevata, how is it? It is beyond the speech, etc. Then when it is objectified as the, I mean, when it is spoken of, it becomes the object of the speech. And in that case, now it cannot remain shuddha, as pure, because there is maya sambandha. And therefore, how is it that such maya sambandha Parameshwara will be remembered at the very beginning? Shastradau anusmaryate, shuddhasya hi tattvasya anusmaranam, avishta phalavad avishtam tatraha. Now, therefore, it is in maintaining even the shuddhata of the tattva, how that tattva is brought out even with the maya sambandha is what is said over here. Paro avyaktad. Now what is it said is beyond avyakta. Narayana is beyond avyakta. Here it goes. Avyaktam, avyaktam, maya iti na anarthantaram. Avyaktam itself is called as maya. There is no separate thing as avyakrita and maya. Maya means avyakrita. Avyakrita, unmanifest, means maya. Avyakrita translated to English will mean unmanifest. Avyakritam maya iti anarthantaram tasmat paro vyatiriktaha. Now that which is beyond even this unmanifest, that which is beyond unmanifest, tasmat paraha tad vyatiriktaha tena sansprishtoyam paraha. And therefore, that when it is said it is beyond, it simply means what? That it is asansprishtaha, it is untouched. So therefore, the asangata is maintained or not. In spite of maintaining the asangata, now the tattva, the shuddha tattva is brought out over here by Shankaracharya. Asansprushtoyam paraha aksharat paratah paraha iti shruter grihitaha. Now this is how the Shruti talks about it. That aksharat paratah paraha. Akshar means the unmanifest only. And why unmanifest is called as akshara? Because it is never, it does not exhaust itself. Sharana does not take place. And therefore aksharaha tatvataha maya sambandha bhavepi kalpanaya tadiya sangatim angikritya antaryamitvadikam unneyam. Tatvataha, in reality, though the sambandha does not take place, maya sambandha, etc., does not take place, tathapi kalpanaya, it is accepted by the Shastra. Anu tadiya sangatim angikritya. And that sangati is how? Adhyasa purvakam only. Another topic. But Shastra accepts it. Angikritya antaryamitvadikam punneyam. Now, thus, antaryamitva, the inner controllership, etc., can be justified. Unneyam. Yasmad ishwarasya vyatireko vivakshitaha tasmad avyakte sakshi siddhepi karyalingakam anumanam upanyasyati andamiti. And because Ishwarasya Vyatireko Vivakshitaha, what actually we want to show is that this Ishvara is beyond all this Vyakta and Avyakta, because this Vyakta, manifest and unmanifest, okay, is how this is all only an appearance. But that which is the very support and also the substratum of this appearance is the reality. So the reality lies beyond all forms of appearances. Okay, now this is what we have to see. Tathapi, avyakte. How is this unmanifest? It is sakshi siddha. Sakshi siddha means sushupta. In your state of deep sleep, the unmanifest is known by you, and therefore, though the ahankara, etc., is not there in the unmanifest, in the deep sleep, yet when you wake up, you say there was nothing. It was all unmanifest. The body, the senses, the ego, everything was dissolved into the unmanifest. So that unmanifest is something that is, and it is how do you say? I'm talking in English after almost after a long time. So to bring the right words is becoming a little difficult. Is illumined, prakashit karta hai, is illumined by the sakshi. So thus, that unmanifest, since it is illumined by the sakshi, it is something that is proven. And what is the means of proving the unmanifest? That it is illumined by the sakshi, by the consciousness, by the witnessing consciousness. Sakshi siddhyapi, yet that unmanifest still can be even proven through the inference. Karyalingakam anumanam upanyasyati. And what is the kind of, what do they call, the inference that you are going to employ over there? He says, Karyalingam. Now you see, I'll give you an example of this. When you wake up in the morning and you look outside the window, you had a great sleep, deep sleep, and you wake up in the morning and you stand by the window and you discover the entire lane is wet. All the cars are wet, the trees are wet, and then what do you understand? That it has rained in the night. So now, though you have not seen the rain, but you have seen the effect. And by looking at the effect, you are able to infer the cause. You are able to know the cause. So karya, the effect, becomes the linga, an indication to understand the karanam. So also over here, this world, which is subtle manifest, mind, senses, etc., or which is this gross manifest, shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasatmak, jagat, by looking at this, the unmanifest, its cause also can be understood. Now you see How is this? How does he make the avyakta siddha? Proves the avyakta by the virtue of illumined by the witness. And second one is karyalingakam upanyasyati. Now that is brought forth. And what is it? Andam iti. What is this andam? Andam translated will mean egg, the cosmic egg. Now, if you want to make it very, exotic and very mystical, then you can have the cosmic egg and all that. But all this is okay. What exactly do you mean by the cosmic egg? We can understand egg of a hen and a duck and an ostrich. But what do you mean by cosmic egg? So, by using this kind of a jargon, it really doesn't open up anything that you can you feel that you have now known. Words are means of knowing. Words are not just a collection of sounds to be kept to make you feel special. No, it should open up knowledge for you. So here it is. Apanchīkrita pancamahabhutatmakam hairanyagarbham tattvam andam iti abhilapyate. What is it? Now this world which you see of names and forms, the gross world, okay? And so also there is subtle world. But all this is how? That is Panchamahabhutatmak. And not only that it is Panchamahabhutatmak, but these bhutas are also entangled in each other. And this is how the gross world is seen and understood or experienced. When you experience a rose, you experience its smell, you can experience its touch, you can experience its taste. So Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, everything is experienced in one. So though these are different, yet it is experienced as one. So now this experience of all these tattvas in one is grossification. But when they are in their purest forms, they are how? That the Akasha, Vayu, etc. are these all different tattvas, and they are called as unmanifest, ungrossified. Apanchīkrita pancamahabhutatmakam tattvam. That is the Hiranyagarbha. So also, and this is what is called as Andam, the cosmic egg, etc. And there are some, what do they call? Spiritual institutions which said this particular egg shape is called Paramatma and all. This is if they want to do it, they can do it. But this has got no Shastriya Adhara. When we say Andam, that Andam is not shape. Is not a shape. It simply means Apanchīkrita pancamahabhutatmakam hairanyagarbham tattvam. It is one tattva. But from where does it come? Tad avyaktad purvoktad utpadyate. It comes from the avyakta. And that is why, from the unmanifest, and that is why Bhagavan Shankaracharya says, avyaktad andasambhavam. Okay? Avyaktad andasambhavam. प्रसिद्धा हि श्रुति स्मृति वादेषु हिरण्यगर्भस्य मूल कारणात् उत्पत्तिः. It is all very well established through the Shruti and Smritis that Hiranyagarbha comes from the unmanifest, Mula Karanad Utpattihi, from the root cause. Tathacha Karyalingad Avyaktad Abhivyakti Ityarthaha. So also now we understand that, our understanding is that it comes from the inference that we understand. Hiranyagarbhe Shruti Smruti Samadhigatepi Karyalingakam anumanam astiti manvano viradutpattim upadarshayati andasyeti. So also from this subtle world, from this subtle totality comes the gross world. And this gross world is just not this much. That gross world is in which even this earth, Saptadvipa, Medini also comes under it. And so Viradatmakam Vartante, Bhuradayo, Bhurva, Swaha, etc. All these seven worlds, the upper seven worlds, the lower seven worlds, etc. All of them come under this gross world. Karyam hi karanasya antarbhavati tena hiranyagarbhabhutantarбhuta bhuradayo loka viradatmanaha tena srishta. So now this, and how the Puranas speak that Brahmadeva, the Chaturmukha Brahma, then creates this world. But what exactly is meant over there is for us to understand that this all the 14 worlds, which are this gross, the upper worlds, the lower worlds, etc., all of them are covered under this Hiranyagarbha. And why are they under the Hiranyagarbha? Because the Karyam, the effect, does not have any existence apart from its Karanam. That's why. Iti lokaneva panchikruta panchamahabhutat विराडात्मत्वेन व्युत्पादयति सप्तद्वीपेति. ठीक है. सा पृथ्वी भवत् पृथ्वी अभवत् इति श्रुतौ विराजो नाम संकीर्तम इति अंगीकारात् अशेषाद् अशेष द्वीपोपेता पृथ्वी इति अनेन सर्वलोकात्मको विराट एव उच्यते. So now what do you have? The Virat, Hiranyagarbha, and the Antaryami. This is it. Virat, Hiranyagarbha, and the Antaryami. The gross, the subtle, unmanifest, and that is which is beyond the unmanifest. Okay? That which is unmanifest, subtle, and manifest is going to be entire range of Anatma Tattva. And this, which is beyond all this, is the Atma. This is what we are going to understand. And by knowing this Atma, what happens? One becomes free. This is by knowing that this Narayana is what is the true nature of the self, one becomes free. Okay. Now here. Paramatma hi swajnana dvara jagad ashesham utpadya swatmani eva antarbhavya akhande karasa sachidanandatmana sve mahimni tishtati. Now this Paramatma, and because of the ignorance of the Paramatma, this entire world comes into existence. Yet this Paramatma remains shining in his own glory. Sve mahimni tishtati ityartha. Atra cha Narayana shabdena abhidheyam uktam nara eva naraha jivaha tvam padavachyaha. Now, nara eva naraha. This nara only is called as nara. What is that? Jivaha. And now what is this jiva? That which is indicated by the word tvam in the Mahavakya. So tvam padavachyaha tesham adhishthanam tat padavacham param brahma. Now this is the adhishthanam, the very substratum of all the jivas. Tat padavacham param brahma. तथा च कल्पितस्य अधिष्ठानाति रिक्तस्वरूपा भावात् वाच्यस्य कल्पितत्वेपि लक्ष्यस्य ब्रह्ममात्रत्वात् ब्रह्मात्मैक्यं विषयो अत्र सूच्यते. Now what did he say, Anandagiri, in the beginning? Now Now, simple meaning was given first. And for the Sthula Drishti people, those who have the Sthula Drishti, for them that is there. But now he says that what is going to be explained is for the Sukshma Buddhi, Sukshma Drishti people, because there are different kinds of seekers. And those who are satisfied with that explanation, they are welcome to take that. But those who say that, well, there seems to be something more to it, then for those Sukshma Drishti Purushas means to those seekers, men and women all, this is what is said. Tatha cha kalpitasya adhisthanatirikta swarupa bhavat. Now that which is a superimposition, like the silver in the nacre. The silver does not have any other place, any other location other than the nacre. Like that, because that silver is kalpitam. Kalpitam means it is projected by the ignorance. So that which is projected by the ignorance does not have any other location than that on which it is projected. Right? So you can keep this example of silver and nacre in the mind. Kalpitasya adhisthana atirikta swarupa bhavat vachasya kalpitatvepi. Now, the word meaning, the immediate meaning of the word when it is said you, tvam, what comes into the mind? Jiva. I am the doer, I am the experiencer, and since I am the doer, I do some punya and I experience punya and papa, right and wrong, and as a result I experience sukha and dukkha. So, and the one who keeps, going in various realms of this life in order to experience sukha and dukkha as a result of those papa and punya. Now, that means that the meaning of the word which immediately comes, flashes in your mind is of the word you is jiva. Okay? Vachasya kalpitatvepi. But this understanding, this meaning which comes associated with the word you as the jiva, how is it? It is kalpitam. What jivasya kalpitatvepi. When you go to verify, you are not going to discover that the meaning of this I is ego. Okay? The meaning of this word I, I means when the speaker says you are going to translate it as I and then receive it. So over there, whatever you see as this meaning of the word I, as the experiencer, as the doer, as a man, as a woman, as good, bad, holy and profane, whatever it may be, it is all only what? It is projected by ignorance. Kalpitatvepi. Though this comes kalpitam jiva, yet lakshasya, then the distilled meaning of this word I as just pure consciousness, without any name, without any form. How is it? Lakshasya Brahma Matratvad is nothing but Brahman. Brahmatma ikyam vishayotra suchyate. And how did this whole thing Bhagavan Bhashyakara was able to bring you? By just using the word Narayana. How? That Nara means Nara. Tesham adhishthanam ayanam. Just by using this word Narayana, Bhagavan Bhashyakara was able to show you this is what is the subject matter of the Shastra that is going to be presented in front of you. Look at that. So this is how Anandagiri brings it. This is what Bhashyakara wanted, but he becomes very crisp and brings things in a very capsuled form. So without the help of Anandagiri, how would you navigate yourself through the study of Shankaracharya, and a very fruitful study of Shankaracharya without Anandagiri is what is questioned by the people of the tradition. Huh? Now, what to speak about those people who do not have the Shraddha in the Upanishad? Those who who claim to follow the Upanishad, but who do not have this, initiation into the tradition of Shankaracharya. For them, so that's why. And those who even follow Shankaracharya, who says that Anandagiri is not required, for them, this joy of going through the entire work at every point, that this revelation which takes place is which leads into almost like a samadhi, is the prasada of Anandagiri Acharya. So I'm not going to take you, a lot into details, because there is so much, and so beautiful, but it is very exhausting. At times, it also becomes tedious when there is the Shastrartha. But my whole attempt today, though we have not seen the entire shloka also of Mangalacharanam, but only the word Narayana from the Mangalacharanam. And yet, what does that, where does it lead? To the subject matter of the Shastra. What is it? Brahmatma Ikyam. And how is it? Simply indicated by using the word Narayana. This is what Anandagiri takes you through. Okay. Vishayaha atra suchyate. This is the Vishaya which is brought to you over here. Suchyate means is indicated. So I think this should suffice you to get a little introduction to the not only the commentary, but the commentary on the commentary. So we have this tradition of great scholars, great people, great enlightened people, who then are keen on wanting to bring more light in your life. And more light simply means that getting all these doubts, contradictions eradicated. Thus, knowledge without all these contradictions and doubts is what is called, then becomes the cause of Swarupa Sthiti, Jivan Mukti. This is what is the intention. And that's why these great people give themselves to the study of Bhashya. And the disciple of Bhashyakara is not direct disciple of Bhashyakara, but some texts like some Shankar Digvijayas have presented him as a disciple also, but not truly. He seems to be a little later, few generations later than Shankaracharya Bhagavan. But nevertheless, he could be a disciple, he could be few generations later, but that what he gives to us is unparalleled, and the entire tradition is indebted to Anandagiri. So I think I will finish it here. And are there any questions or anything that anyone wants to ask?